everyone. Welcome to another episode of the DC Discourse.
I'm Dallin Poulter.
And I'm Nathan Peterson, and we are excited to have you here on our Part 2 episode of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, we do have one thing we wanted to add that we both felt terrible about. We both remembered who the author of Crisis on Infinite Earths was, which is Marv Wolfman, but we did forget the artist, so we went back, and we are going to tell you who it is now.
His name is George Perez.
I knew it was George, and he knew it was something Perez, but we both could not remember the other part, and we didn't come together. So anyways, moving on from that, sorry, you guys are both great.
Thank you for what you did for us.
Yes. So we mentioned before what Crisis was, so if you didn't see that, you can go ahead and watch the summary video again, and we'd love for you to go do that. But just to give kind of an idea of what we're going to do now, we're going to discuss a little bit more about Crisis on Infinite Earths, just kind of discuss a little bit about some of its importance, and then get into a little bit more about the arrowverse and what we are excited about with it.
Yeah. So Nathan, do you want to give us kind of a recap again? Like 10, 20 seconds of what Crisis on Infinite Earths is?
So it was really important because beforehand continuity didn't exist in the DC universe. Everyone would say what they wanted. So Crisis on Infinite Earths was the attempt to bring all of these universes together into just one simpler universe where everything is one continuity. So they brought in this villain that basically killed all the universes, and because of what he did, they ended up killing him, but they were able to get the universe down to one universe and continuity.
Mm-hmm. So continuity was a thing after that?
And it has been ever since, kind of.
Kind of.
So, Dallin, why do you think Crisis on Infinite Earths is so important to comics?
I think it's important because, for one, it was just a huge event in DC Universe that hadn't happened before. And it was kind of the biggest event to happen, where literally everyone from all the universes were coming together. You have two main superheroes that get killed.
Mm-hmm.
You have Supergirl and Barry Allen both die, and that just like shocked fans. And I think it's important as well because before Crisis on Infinite Earths, like during that time period, DC Comics wasn't doing as well. They're kind of in like a decline a little bit. But then once Crisis came out, just their sales skyrocketed again. It became like a huge fan favorite and just kind of blew everyone's minds.
Yeah, I would compare it a lot to like when MCU, we talked about this with Endgame, but just like when MCU kind of came out with the idea of like a huge crossover event, it was a huge deal. And that's kind of how Crisis was too. And thankfully, I honestly think Crisis is what inspired so many crossovers. And especially within the DC universe, I mean, you have Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then ever since then you have Infinite Crisis, you have Final Crisis, you have Identity Crisis, and now they've moved past a little bit into more like Flashpoint and then Rebirth. But all these crises were named crises because of the legacy of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. So it was essential, and it basically set the precedent for comics and for what a crossover universe is, of where all these things are coming together in DC and in Marvel, anywhere.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was super cool is I was watching a video of another guy talking about it, and how he said that because of Crisis on Infinite Earths, every time DC uses like the word crisis now, it's going to be a massive, big event. Yeah. And he's like, I hope the CW shows realize that.
Yeah, that
since they're using Crisis along with DC, like, this has to be huge and good.
It's a huge title to bring. One thing I did want to talk about a little bit is like, who do you think are like essential characters to the Crisis storyline? Because obviously we know they're going to adapt it a ton, just so you know. But we talked about the summary so you can get an idea of it, but they're going to change so much. So a lot of these characters aren't going to be, the ones I mentioned that are minor characters probably won't be in the Crisis. But which characters do you think need to be in it?
Monitor for sure, and we know he's going to be in it because he was in one of the previous crossovers, and then you saw him at the end of Arrow season 7 when he comes to get Oliver Queen. I think you're going to, out of those minor characters, I think you're also, definitely you're going to have the Anti-Monitor. Yeah. Like, if you don't, then it's not Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool and good to have Harbinger.
Yeah.
To be able to clone herself, to be able to go out to those different Earths.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it'd be cool to see Alexander Luthor. I don't think he's going to be in it, but I still think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think what you talked about, the Monitor, Anti-Monitor, most important. The Harbinger, I think what I want to see, I'm okay if it's not the Harbinger, but somehow they have to have a character that is like her.
To be able to bring everyone together.
Yeah, because I don't know how else they're going to make it so everyone comes together, because one thing I thought that they might do, I'm a huge Flash fan, clearly. If you follow the Flash, Cisco Ramon or Vibe, could be the one because he can travel between the dimensions. I think he could fill that role. He can't clone himself, but he could bring things together. Right. Or Gypsy could too. So these types of characters could bring them together, but they need that same type of character who can really bring the universe together, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Sorry, one thing I want to say off of that too. One thing I didn't mention in the summary about Crisis. So Crisis is huge, and we know how important the comics are. With that said, if you haven't read comics before, don't go pick up Crisis on Infinite Earths as your first read.
Don't even pick it up as like maybe your 20th read.
Yeah.
Like, it's a hefty series that takes a lot of time and a lot of willpower. And I mean, it's something that even intermediate readers might not even want to pick up quite yet. But definitely down the line, if you're starting off, don't do that. Ask us what you should read, and we'll tell you.
Yes, read it eventually, but wait, because if you don't have any idea of comics, you're going to read this and be like, I have no idea what's going on.
Right. I have no idea who any of these people are.
Yeah, because it's all over the place. They bring in any character they can. So again, if you haven't read comics, I just want to throw that out there. I personally, the more and more I research it, it's like a good piece of literature you read. The first time you read it, you're like, I don't know what happened. Yeah. And the more and more I get into it, the more I'm like, wow, this really is brilliant. Like, what they were able to do, and it was the first of its kind, and the way that they brought in all these characters and brought them to one, and just like the depth of it and how much they changed the universe is awesome. But it takes some reading.
A lot. So with the storyline in Crisis, so what is essential in the storyline that you wish they would put in the crossover?
So that's a great question. One of the things they have to do is they have to kill off some main characters.
Agreed. That was like my number one thing is like they have to kill some off.
They have to make tragic. And I think Arrow's going to die. It's his last season.
Yeah.
And so the main characters that die in the comic series that are the most important are, as he mentioned, Flash and Supergirl.
Yeah.
They're not killing Supergirl. It won't happen. If they kill her, you can call me on it now, but I would bet money on it. The series is way too popular, and the political agenda of the series does really well, and it's a really tasteful way of doing it, and it's like very much a feminist act that is super well done, and I love it.
Yeah.
And there's no way they're going to get rid of her. I think Arrow will die.
I think so too.
Flash, I don't think will die.
I don't think so either, because
I think Arrow will kind of replace that, because they're kind of the originals.
And for sure we know that this is Arrow's last season, and they haven't said that this is the Flash last season, and then it'd be kind of weird and dumb to like kill the Flash in this and then continue on with the show.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow they would have to somehow replace him, kind of like Wally West or whatever, but that would take a lot of time to build up to him being replaced.
And the Wally West they have in the series does him over DC Legend of Tomorrow, so I don't think they'd bring him in as the main Flash. And it's a different Wally West too, so it's like the rebirth version of Wally West. Only 52, I can't remember when he started, but it's a different Wally West. Anyways.
So that's one thing. I think kind of going along the lines with all the universes being narrowed down to one, if I am correct, that technically speaking, Black Lightning isn't in the Arrowverse. So that's one thing that they could do is to bring him into the Arrowverse.
Which I'm really hoping for, because I'm really excited, because they are bringing him into the crossover.
Yeah.
And Black Lightning, I remember I didn't want to read it first, because before I knew much about I didn't want to watch it first. I was like, I don't know about this. It's kind of a weird show.
Right.
And I started watching it, and I was like, I started reading a little more about Black Lightning after, because I love the show. Like, it's Jefferson Pierce is one of my favorite characters in comics. He's just such a cool guy. But anyways, so another thing I used to think that Superman from the Supergirl universe was going to die, but now I don't, because they've already announced another show. So there goes my theory.
They could, well, we'll get into a little bit more of kind of like who is going to make cameos and appear. I definitely think some of those characters are going to die.
And let's get into that now. So who are some of the other characters that you think are going to be in, that we know are going to be in that they announced?
So we know that Brandon Routh, even though he played Adam in Arrow, but it's Infinite.
Yeah,
it's like Crisis on. They can do anything they want. So they're going to bring him back as Superman, like he played in the movie in 2006. But he's going to be an older Superman, as in like Kingdom Come Superman, which I think is going to be really cool.
Yeah, they're going to do kind of like a Kingdom Come universe. I think it won't be big, but it'll be a little bit of a part of it.
And I think he's going to die.
Okay.
That's a prediction. I don't know. I mean, I just think that'd be cool,
Okay.
One I'm really excited for is Kevin Conroy is going to make an appearance as a live action in Batman, and I think he's going to be like kind of an older, worn down Batman, kind of like from Batman Beyond, worn down Bruce Wayne, and so he's going to be in it. Like we were talking about, they're going to bring in Black Lightning and the guy who plays Jefferson Pierce, Now, there was a rumor, I don't think this is true, I don't think this is going to happen. There was a rumor where someone was like, oh, it's rumored that they're going to bring in the Titans show from DC Universe. And I don't think they're going to, because that's not CW.
Yeah.
Even though it's like DC, they're still like separate studios.
So after that, the thing I'm most excited for, and I have a different prediction than you because of what I'm most excited for. So we know there's 3 Superman. There's one in the Super Universe, the Kingdom Come, and they're bringing back Smallville.
Smallville, yeah.
And so I grew up watching Smallville. I've watched that show since I was as little as I can remember. It's honestly what made me start loving comics so much. So I've got a little soft place because that's what got me into Superman so much, growing up and watching that. But anyways, they're bringing back Tom Welling and they're bringing back Erica Durance. And so they're both going to be Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
And because of how much love they have for Smallville, and because Smallville basically started the Arrowverse, it may have come first, but there was no other superhero TV show that was live action that did so well as Smallville did. So I could also see them killing that Superman instead kind of closing the chapter and giving some closure to that.
Right.
I am sad because they're not bringing in Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum, but
which would have been great.
It's okay. I won't cry too much. The one thing I think is really cool is that they are kind of taking this on and bringing in these characters. And I am really excited to see that aspect of Crisis come to play. Sorry, let me pull up my notes really quick to see what else I want to talk about.
And I know there's going to be more cameos, but none of them else are just like coming to my mind. But it's going to be insane, just everything they do. And it's going to be over 5. This is the biggest crossover event they've done because it's going to be across 5 TV series. Like you said, you've got Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, DC Legends of Tomorrow, and then Batwoman. Yeah,
and they're bringing all these other cameos too. One thing I was going to say that CW has set up so well, and I don't know if they were planning on doing this for a while, but you mentioned how Brandon Routh played, is that his name? Brandon Routh? Yeah, so he played the Atom, but they've had so many actors in the CW that play the same character from a different universe. You see it with Black Siren and Black Canary. Yeah. And so they can have these actors that can play different roles, and it's not a big deal because, and for example, Erica Durance is she is Kara's mom from she's Kara's mom from
Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl and from Krypton. So again, these actors that have played different characters, it's not a big deal because they're I mean, you have Jay Garrick who plays, he's Flash's dad, and then he's also Flash, I think it's 90s or something like that. So they have all these characters. It's you've already done enough setup with them that it's not a big deal, and you can bring in whoever you want, and they can literally bring in anything. There's going to be cameos to Michael Keaton. They're going to bring in the Flash series. Who knows? There could be an Adam West for all we know. They're going to bring in everything. So it's a really cool way for DC to kind of bring everything together, and I think it's the equivalent of basically I don't want to say Endgame because nothing compares to Endgame, but a crossover event on cinema that is huge.
Yeah. So we're super excited for it. Is there anything else you wanted to say about?
Yeah. So why do you think they're doing it? What do you think the purpose is besides just making money? Why do they pick? Why do they pick Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I think because they know how big an event it was in DC Comics itself, and it's a good way to kind of bring everyone together and then to kill off some characters. I think it would be cool because, if they do end up killing off Oliver Queen, in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I think they will, it'll be fun to see all the emotions that it brings up in all the other characters. Yeah,
and I think it'd be perfect because it started with Arrow and then Smallville. If both those two characters dies, I'd be so happy.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a good way to close it all off. I will say, I think another reason they're doing it too is kind of a similar idea where they're I don't know why they did this at first, but they wanted everyone to have their own solidarity. So they had Supergirl on a different Earth. They have Black Lightning on the same Earth, but not part of the Arrowverse. I think they're getting to the point now where okay, let's combine it all, make it one. I don't know if they're going to bring it down to one universe, but I do think they're going to cut it down a lot. Things I'm most excited to see in the series. Honestly, one thing I'm scared about, but also excited about, is Kingdom Come, because that series is one of my favorite series.
Right.
I think it's most people's one of their favorites.
So it'll be interesting to see what adaptation they do.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how they do it. I don't think it'll be even close to as good as the book, but I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I'm excited to see Kevin Conroy. One of my favorite portrayals of Batman, just in the video games and some of the TV series. So it'll be so cool to see him live action as an older, worn down Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, so we're both really excited for this. I honestly don't think there's much more that needs to be said about this series. It's great. We're excited for it. We hope that it will be everything that it lives up to, and we are just excited for it as comics fans. So buckle up and get ready for it. And if you haven't watched any of the Arrowverse, start watching some now, because you've got, Arrow's already started, so they're building it up right now.
Started years ago.
Yep. So they're building up, and the new season came out, so they're getting ready for Crisis already.
Yeah. So we're excited for it. Let us know in the comments what you're excited for, and what are some of your predictions of what's going to happen.
Yeah. Comment below. Also, subscribe. Share this video. I'm not going to get off of this high horse that you guys gotta
share it with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you like it, talk to your friends who like comics as well.
Yeah, and follow us on Instagram and everything.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say now. So we're going to boom tube it out of here.
We'll see you next time.